I remember the day I met Alex like it was yesterday. It was one of those crisp autumn afternoons, the kind where the leaves swirl around your feet like whispers from the past. I was sitting in a cozy coffee shop, nursing a latte and lost in a book when he walked in. Tall, with that easy smile that could light up the dimmest room, he asked if the seat across from me was taken. From that moment, our story began a whirlwind of laughter, late night talks, and dreams woven together like threads in a tapestry. We fell in love quickly, deeply. Alex was everything I had hoped for: kind, ambitious, and so attentive. He worked as a software engineer, always tinkering with gadgets in our little apartment, while I pursued my passion as a freelance graphic designer. Our life together felt like a fairy tale. We got married in a small ceremony by the lake, surrounded by friends and family. His mother, Evelyn, was there, beaming with pride, or so I thought. She was a widow, living alone in the suburbs, and Alex was her only child. I understood their bond. I even admired it at first. She'd call him often, sharing recipes or asking for help with her garden, and I'd encourage him to go visit her, but slowly cracks began to appear in our perfect picture. It started small. Evelyn would make offhand comments about my cooking or how I decorated our home. "Oh, dear, that's not how Alex likes his eggs," she'd say with a sweet smile that hid the sharpness underneath. I brushed it off, telling myself it was just a mother's protectiveness. Alex would laugh it away, saying, "Mom means well, she's just set in her ways." I loved him enough to let it slide, to keep the peace. Then came the holidays. We planned a trip to the mountains, just the two of us, our first real getaway since the wedding. But Evelyn called, tearful, saying she felt so alone without her son. Alex hesitated, looking at me with those pleading eyes. "Maybe we can postpone," he suggested. I felt a pang in my chest, but I nodded, swallowing my disappointment. We spent Christmas at her house instead, where she dominated every conversation, reminiscing about Alex's childhood while I sat quietly, feeling like an outsider in my own marriage. As months turned into years. These moments piled up like unspoken resentments. Evelyn would drop by unannounced, critiquing everything from my career choices to our plans for starting a family. "You're not getting any younger, dear," she'd say, eyeing me pointedly. And Alex? He'd defend her every time. "She's just worried about us," he'd insist, his voice soft but firm. I'd argue back, my heart aching, begging him to see how it hurt me. But he'd shake his head, saying family comes first. His family, it seemed. One evening, after a particularly tense dinner where Evelyn had openly questioned my ability to keep a home, I confronted Alex alone in our bedroom. Tears streamed down my face as I poured out my soul. "I feel like I'm competing with your mother for your love," I whispered. He sighed, pulling me into a hug, but his words shattered me. "She raised me, Sarah. I can't just turn my back on her." In that moment, a seed of doubt planted itself deep inside me. Was I truly his priority? Or was I always going to play second fiddle to the woman who had shaped him? Little did I know, the real storm was brewing. It all came to a head on a rainy Tuesday night. That rainy Tuesday started like any other. I was working from home, sketching designs for a client, when Evelyn called Alex at work. I overheard the conversation on speakerphone as he stepped into the kitchen for a quick break. She was upset about her leaky roof, demanding he come fix it right away. "But Mom, I have a deadline today," he protested gently. Her voice sharpened. "You'd let your own mother live in a puddle? What kind of son are you? And that wife of yours, does she even care?" I froze, my pencil hovering over the paper. Alex glanced at me, his face flushed, but instead of defending me, he said, "Mom, Sarah's busy too, but I'll figure something out." He hung up and turned to me with an apologetic shrug. "I have to go help her. It won't take long." My blood boiled. "Alex, this is the third time this month. What about your work? What about us?" He paused, then his words cut like a knife. She needs me more right now. You understand, right? I didn't understand. Not anymore. That night, as he trudged home soaked from the rain, I tried to talk sense into him. Your mom undermines me constantly, and you just let it happen. He rubbed his temples, exhausted. Sarah, you're overreacting. She's family. Overreacting? The word echoed in my mind, fueling a fire I hadn't known was there. Days turned into weeks of mounting tension. Evelyn escalated, calling me directly to advise on how to be a better wife, implying I was the reason we hadn't had kids yet. Each time, Alex took her side, saying I was too sensitive. The betrayal peaked during our anniversary dinner. I had planned everything: candles, his favorite meal, a weekend getaway surprise. But Evelyn showed up uninvited, claiming she forgot it was our special day. She inserted herself, turning the evening into stories about Alex's past girlfriends. I excused myself to the kitchen, fighting back tears. When I returned, Alex was laughing with her, not noticing my pain. Later, in bed, I whispered, "Why didn't you ask her to leave?" His response destroyed me. "She's lonely, Sarah. Can't you be more compassionate?" "She's my mom." That night, I lay awake, my heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. The man I loved had chosen her over me time and again. The realization hit like a wave. I was invisible in my own home. Pain twisted into anger, then resolve. I couldn't live like this anymore. For the first time, I saw clearly, if he wouldn't stand up for me, I had to stand up for myself. The next morning, while Alex was at work, I started planning. I packed my bags quietly, my hands trembling as I folded clothes that held memories of happier times. But it wasn't just leaving. I needed him to feel the weight of his choices. I called a lawyer friend for advice on separation, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Then I rearranged the house, subtly at first, removing photos of us, stacking his belongings by the door. But the real twist? I invited Evelyn over for tea, pretending everything was fine. When she arrived, smug as ever, I sat her down and played a recording I'd made of our arguments, where Alex repeatedly sided with her. Her face paled as she heard his words echoing back. "This is how he defends you," I said calmly, my eyes locked on hers. "But it's breaking our marriage." She stammered excuses, but I saw the crack in her armor, the realization that her interference had consequences. As evening approached, my heart raced. Alex would be home soon, and the stage was set for the shock of his life. I wasn't just hurt. I was empowered, ready to reclaim my worth. Alex's key turned in the lock that evening, and my pulse thundered in my ears. He stepped inside, calling out my name with his usual cheer, but it faded as he took in the scene. The living room was dimly lit, our wedding photo gone from the mantel. His suitcase packed with his clothes sat by the door, a note taped to it. And there, on the couch, sat his mother, her face ashen, avoiding his gaze. "What's going on?" he asked, his voice cracking with confusion. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed, drawing strength from the pain he'd caused. "Welcome home, Alex," I said softly, but with an edge that made him freeze. "I thought it was time you saw things clearly." I handed him the recorder, pressing play. His own words filled the room. Defenses of Evelyn, dismissals of my feelings, over and over. His eyes widened in horror as the truth sank in. "Sarah, I didn't realize. He stammered, turning to his mom. "You heard this?" Evelyn nodded weakly, tears welling up. "I didn't mean to drive a wedge," she whispered, but we both knew it wasn't entirely true. The climax unfolded like a scene from a movie I never wanted to star in. Alex dropped to his knees, begging for forgiveness, promising change. "I'll set boundaries, I swear." "Mom, you have to give us space." But it was too late. The trust was shattered. I told him calmly, You chose her over me one too many times. Now you get to live with that choice. I pointed to the suitcase. I've arranged for you to stay with her since that's where your loyalty lies. He pleaded, his face contorted in regret, but I held firm. Evelyn rose, touching his arm. This is my fault, she admitted, her voice breaking. For the first time, she looked at me with genuine remorse. I was scared of losing him. I'm sorry, Sarah. It was a small victory, seeing her exposed, but it didn't mend my broken heart. As they left together that night, the door closing behind them, a weight lifted from my shoulders. The house felt empty, that for the first time in years, it was mine. In the weeks that followed, the divorce papers were filed, and I rebuilt my life focusing on my art, surrounding myself with friends who truly valued me. Alex tried to reach out, but I moved forward, finding peace in solitude. Looking back, that shocking homecoming was my turning point. It taught me that love shouldn't come at the cost of self-respect. If someone consistently chooses others over you, it's a sign to choose yourself. And in that choice, I found strength I never knew I had, a quiet justice that healed my soul.